Hello again. Thanks for joining us on this next session of Accessibility Matters. I'm John Griffin. I'm the publisher of accessibility.com. Today, we've got a very special person to speak with us. He's an internationally regarded and honored designer. I'll let him introduce himself in terms of what his title is and what he's doing. But one thing I would like to tell you about him before you see him. This man has done something that none of us probably ever thought we'd hear being real in our lifetimes. He has reinvented the wheel, not just any wheel, but a special wheel. Please, my friend, introduce yourself.
Thank you, John, for your introduction. I'm Andrea Mocellin, founder and inventor of Revolve Air, which is the wheelchair in a new form. I'm actually a mobility designer from background, so I've always been involved in designing cars, working aviation, working for global OEMs and global startups. And I always thought like how as mobility designer can be involved in improving people's life, in making a product that can actually link public and private transportation, for example, cars, airplanes, trains, with the micromobility, because we are now nowadays surrounded by a lot of possibilities to travel, but sometimes what is missing is the link between these possibilities. That's why actually I start to improve what is the basics of the movement in the micromobility or in the macro mobility as well, which is the wheel for the land transportation, ground transportation. From the wheel, I start to deconstruct, let's say, the geometry in the way to compact the wheel when it's not in use by 60% of its space, in the way that you can actually create a total new experience in how you can park the vehicles, park your bicycle, store your wheelchair inside the vehicle. But firstly, there was the issue to solve this problem about how can you deconstruct the wheel. From there, I invented a Revolve wheel, which was the first project I was involved as an entrepreneur. And from there, the feedback I got from wheelchair users were amazing in the way that I push forward to deconstruct the frame of the wheelchair itself, in the way to make the full package, means the two wheels plus the frame, suitable as cabin luggage in the plane, something that is not yet possible. But more importantly, allowing the wheelchair user to don't need to check in the wheelchair before each flight, to don't need to drive large cars, but to pick the car they want as compact as possible, and just store the wheelchair in the passenger seat while the two wheels collapse together with the backrest and the seat. The feedback was even more amazing and positive than the wheel itself. And I'm running right now the development of the wheelchair, so planning to reach the market mid of next year with a limited edition wheelchair made out of great partners working on the project. And therefore there, of course, scaling it to a larger numbers, but most importantly, it will be also the user to make the product scaling in a different way through the years. So as it happened with the wheel, now it's happening with the wheelchair, and I'm really curious to see how this will take forward. So I think still there is limitless in the potential that we can explore the field of accessibility through this product, through this technology.
There's countless cases of disabled people using wheelchairs trying to get through the airline baggage mess. Mm-hmm. And everybody apologizes when when the person on the plane is told, well, I'm sorry, we can't, your wheelchair has come off and it's destroyed. Mm-hmm. So now a disabled person is sitting in an airport, maybe trying to get to another flight, whatever, and their wheelchair, their transportation is ruined, and everybody's sorry, but that doesn't solve the problem, which is the reason why so many of us take our luggage on the plane and put it in the overhead, because it's necessary to the rest of our travel. Did you witness that? Was there some kind of an event at some point where you looked at a person in an airport and said, "Oh my God, that shouldn't ever happen"? Or did you
It
hear
did.
about it? Or I
Mhm,
mean, you
mhm,
made a decision to
mhm.
empathize with
Yeah.
a need
Mhm, yeah.
that you didn't necessarily have. Was there an event that
Mhm.
triggered that for you?
Actually, there was. In general, I always been obsessed by traveling, and when I mean by traveling, traveling without anything. So like having empty hands, let's say, when I'm traveling. I hate to have bulky suitcases, a lot of bags. I think that the freedom is when you don't need to worry about what you're bringing with you, and you can enjoy the journey, right? Otherwise, you are always stressed and overwhelmed about how many things you have to check in and be careful of. Um, and when I was traveling by train or by cars, by airplanes, and I was always seeing as well in the airport, for example, the wheelchair spare all around the terminals without any order. Um, and I was thinking, well, we are in 2020 or 2021 or in the past, and still there is the bulky wheelchair with the same wheels, with the same frame that people can't bring on board of a plane. And I was like, that's not the future I picture. Um, and that's like I thought. So basically, if I'm a wheelchair user, I can't travel light. I can't jump in the plane, and I don't want to be worried that something get damaged. The same if I'm driving a car. Everyone is in a rush. Why do I need to spend so much time to load and unload a wheelchair in the car, or asking for someone to do so? So the idea was like, how can use my skills that I gained through the industry to actually shape this product that doesn't exist. Of course, it's a big challenge. It was a lot of effort, I have to say. But like when you feel this intention and motivation, I think is the best thing. Just is to follow it. Just because I'm so obsessed to make the journey as seamless as possible, because everyone deserves that, I have to say. So as we do it, everyone has to do it. There is no doubt in any scale. And as mentioned before, all the industry is so focused to do faster product, more comfortable products, but never really thinking about what is in between. So there is a huge potential there to improve the journeys.
Right now, it's a
Mhm.
mechanical fold up,
Yeah.
strictly mechanical. But there's also a market out there for motorized wheelchairs.
Yeah.
That would encompass battery technology that could potentially be fairly heavy,
Mhm.
small motor and some of it. Is that something that's next?
Mhm.
Is that something you're working on now?
Absolutely. I mean, when I speak about Revolve as a brand, I have to say is open up to everything that is gonna be inclusion and accessibility in a different ways. So now it's a manual wheelchair because all our effort is to make the best foldable, lightweight, portable wheelchair. But in terms of vision in long term, also not mid term, is also to deliver product that follow the good technology, of course. The problem now when you're traveling that the battery are still quite not dangerous but heavy. Sometimes you can bring it on board on a cabin of the plane for security. So as we are like, I like to say we are hardware and analogic company, technology company. We are in discussion with other startups as well, innovative startups that works not only with batteries but also with sensor radars to detect obstacles, to make the wheelchair even more smarter. So in terms of evolution of the product, as mentioned before, it's kind of limitless because you can add smart technology that will improve even more the travel experience, to be almost like to say autonomous in the way it's folding, unfolding, and traveling and moving. As you mentioned, engines and batteries get smaller and smaller. And for us, it's only an advantage because we can put all the know-how we are having through mechanics and analogic systems through something that is going to be even more futuristic one day than what we could even imagine. So there is a lot of potential there as well, of course.
The product itself, how much is it? What are you shooting at as a total weight for an average size?
The target, actually, the wheelchair will be less than 10 kilos. Through the background we have with partners working in Formula One, there is the potential to achieve this weight because they are the master in the world-class master in making things lighter. And working with them is absolutely crucial, but also like inspiring, because they can take a simple surface that you do that weight 5 kilos, they can make it weight 2 kilos. You never know how, but they managed to do so. So, of course, using materials and engineering processes, they're really the best partner you can find. Also, Francesco, which is involved as a CTO in Revolve, is actually able to create this kind of, great technology on the service of a important product that can improve life. So I think that the weight is extremely important, not only for when you use the wheelchair, but also when you load in the car, for the weight, for the stress that you're going to have in the back by folding and unfolding. So for us, it's crucial, of course, to have something that is extremely portable.
It's a great innovation. I don't know how well you take accolades, but you really deserve a tremendous hand for seeing this, working at it, and making it come true. You're the man that has reinvented the wheel.
Thanks, John, for that. I think it's really interesting to hear feedbacks from diverse backgrounds, diverse industries, experts, and everyone. I think for the first time since I involved in projects regarding technology, there is a sense of community as well. I think like all the users that would like to purchase and test the wheelchair, they're collaborative. Things that I didn't really face so much in other industries, because there is more this competition acting. In the wheelchair industry, what I believe, not in the wheelchair industry, but in the accessibility world, what I see that people just want to really have better product, to have a better life. This means the collaboration level is higher. So you actually can go faster in creating a better product, because your competitor doesn't want to take you down, but want to grow together with you. And I think this things is kind of unique on the way to work on this project.
It's unique to this business. I am a lifelong publisher, and while I've been aware throughout my life of the need for accessibility to the disabled, it never really hit home for me until I had a person in my family that was born and became autistic. And my grandmother used to tell me that you never know how things feel until the hammer hits your thumb. And so I was drawn to this project. Now, I've had a career, multiple decades in big business and publishing and advertising and marketing and so on and so forth. So for me, the huge discovery was finding what I lovingly call the tribe of people like yourself and Gavin and Michael and most of the people that will be on the roster in our 3 days here, who didn't get into the business, didn't get into accessibility mattering necessarily for riches and money. They got in it because they felt a need to do something about inequality in an inaccessible world that still exists. That's unique, as you allude to too. When you float around in other businesses, everything is like, who's going to get to the money first? Well, in this business, that's not the way it is. It's really resolved as to who's going to get to the solution first. It's a changing
Mhm.
world, and
Yeah.
the emphasis now is beginning to really build
Mhm.
underneath making all design
Mhm.
accessible
Yeah.
in the systems and the
Mhm.
assistive technology business. I mean, so much of the prescription
Mhm.
is being written into the beginnings of
Mhm.
the development of a product or a solution or a system or technology, as opposed to going back. If it had been possible, the wheelchair was a wonderful
Mhm.
invention at its
Mhm.
day.
Absolutely.
It's a long time ago, and it hasn't changed. It's kind of
Mhm.
like I used to tell people that, well, the difference between print and online is one is the technology of Gutenberg, and the other one is the technology of Zuckerberg. They're
Mhm.
very different.
Yeah. Mhm.
If you can't change the
Absolutely.
game in a
Yeah.
hundred years, you can never
Mhm.
progress.
Yeah.
You know, so I think your instinct on that is
Mhm.
absolutely correct.
Mhm.
That it's a
Mhm.
different business, and it's obviously one you're very comfortable in.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I think like as you mentioned, is a totally different business than if you work in the car industry or in softwares, digital. The fact that also you work with the hardware, as you mentioned, like the Witcher didn't change in 100 years. For the fact that it's actually an extremely complex product.
Hmm.
Always looks simple, but it's not actually, because there is a lot of weight that has to support
Yeah.
safety, stability, a lot of characters that people underestimate, and always have the feeling that more the product looks simple, more is actually complex to do it. It's like there's always this tricky game in the development of some product. So and what stay timeless normally is something that always looks simple, always look really good in the eye of the user, doesn't look like an enemy but looks like a friend,
Yeah.
and then you get almost attached, no, emotionally, because you get memories on it. You feel like it's part of your daily life. It's a bit like when you drive a nice car, you like it. When you get out from the car, you walk back, you always turn the head to check the car for the last time, um, because you create this relationship with the product as well. um, and I'm more like in this side, so in the emotional side of the product. And I think like with the wheelchair you can do to the next level, because I like to call it almost wearable mobility, because you wear it, right, the
Yeah.
wheelchair almost.
Yeah.
And so you create this kind of incorporation between man and machine, I like to say, that is underestimated by people designing it, I think. Also the emotion that you can get by folding or folding the product, because many people ask me why you didn't do it maybe in this way or in another way, and I was like, well, what I try to do it is always thinking about how naturally can you do some action like folding or unfolding, how you can work by your instinct rather than doing something that is maybe um, take shorter time to develop, uh, but doesn't give you the same emotion or feedback here. If you have to do it 20 times per day, I want that even after 20 times feels magical or unique, rather than doing 20 times like you are doing something almost work, like something that take effort, or not effort, but it doesn't give you anything back. So when I try to design things, I always try to create this connection between doing something that is worth it and you enjoying it, rather than doing something that just because you have to do it, or you need to do it. Yeah.
Well, the truth of the matter is that
Mhm.
accessibility is the turning house between discovery, innovation, any solution, anything that is part of service to the lives of persons that have special needs or are disabled. If it's not accessible, the progress stops entirely. So anything that you can nominate in terms of science, discovery, support. If it's not accessible, it's useless to the intended user. So solving for that on the front side, rather than 100 years later, it's great that it's here. We wish it could have been here 100 years ago, but as you suggest, the Formula One knowledge and skill sets that got embedded into this product make it lightweight and durable and strong, and things that it could not have been back in the Iron Age. It's an advanced technology. It's a composition of the assets that nature provides in natural materials, but it takes vision, and it takes brains, and it takes determination, like you brought to this. I want to congratulate you on that and say to our readers, this is why accessibility matters. This is why you will see people in the future getting on airplanes with you and going into their seats and folding up their luggage, which was their wheelchair, and putting it above their heads. And remember that this man was the man that made that possible. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you, John. Also, great conversation. I was really enjoyed it, actually.